This is example 3 from the Solving Rational Equations lab. We want to solve the following for x. What we want to notice first is our domain restrictions. We cannot divide a fraction by 0. So neither of these denominators are allowed to be equal to 0, or else each of these fractions would then be undefined. So if x plus 1 is going to be equal to 0, then we'd find that x cannot be negative 1. And if x minus 1 is equal to 0, then we find that x cannot be 1. So these are our domain restrictions of what x cannot be. So moving on to solving the following equation for x, we need to find the LCD between each of these terms. So we have x plus 1, we have x minus 1. Neither of those have any factors in common. So our LCD will just be those terms multiplied together. So x plus 1 times x minus 1 is going to be our LCD. And we are going to multiply our LCD to each side of our equation. So we have x plus 1, x minus 1 times x over x plus 1 plus 5 over x minus 1, and 1 times x plus 1 times x minus 1. So these terms will distribute to both of these two terms. This 1 is going to essentially just equal whatever this is. So taking both of these terms and distributing it to this first term, x over x plus 1, we notice that there's going to be an x plus 1 on the top and the bottom. So the x plus 1's cancel, and so we're just going to be left with x times x minus 1 for this first term. Now taking this entire term and distributing it to the second term, 5 over x minus 1, we notice that there's going to be two x minus 1's on the top and the bottom, so those will cancel, and so we're just left with 5 times x plus 1. And this 1 times x plus 1 times x minus 1 is just going to be x plus 1 times x minus 1. Such as that. So now we're going to continue our distribution and multiply through. So we have x times x, which is x squared, minus x plus 5x plus 5. Then multiplying these two terms together, we have x times x, which is x squared, x times negative 1, which is negative x, positive 1 times x, which is plus x, and then positive 1 times negative 1, which is just negative 1. So we're going to subtract an x squared on either side, and what will happen is the x squareds will cancel. So there's no more x squareds. And we have a negative x plus 5x. And we have, I'm going to add everything from this side to this side. So we're going to add an x and subtract an x. And then there's a positive 5 right here, moving this 1 over. We have 5 plus 1, so it's plus 6 is equal to 0. So this plus x and minus x will cancel. In fact, they would have canceled up there. So and this negative x plus 5x will be 4x plus 6 is equal to 0. So we have 4x is equal to negative 6. Dividing by 4 on both sides, we have x is equal to negative 6 divided by 4. And 6 and 4 both have a factor of 2. So we can simplify that to negative 3 over 2. And we look back to our domain restrictions, and we notice that x could not be negative 1 or 1, but negative 3/2 is neither of those. So that is our answer.